Hello, this is Charles, and we're about to start Chapter 7 of Out of Time. Chapter 6, it seemed like everything was going well, and they made it back to stop the brothers from killing George as a baby. And in the confrontation, things didn't quite go as planned, and now they find themselves back in the present day with the baby. What happens next? Find out in Chapter 7. Chapter 7. They sat there for a second, blinking as their eyes tried to adjust to the sudden daylight. George was crying again, as startled by the sudden turn of events as Earl and Clyde were. "Why'd you push the button?" Clyde asked. "Weren't on purpose, must have hit it when we fell." "That boy jumped into me before I knew what hit me. What shook him?" "I reckon it was that," Earl said as he pointed across the grass at the Powers brothers freeing themselves from their ropes and running away. "How'd they get away?" "Easy. We forgot to take their belts. Nathaniel tied them up, but they hit the button somehow. Flash of light made that boy jump. Now we're here. Where's the park?" "We should be in it, but this ain't no park. Nothing here but that shopping center over there." "Same way the brothers ran. You reckon they seen us?" "Don't think so. They jumped before we did. Time we saw them, they was running that way." "What time did we jump?" "Well, only a minute ago. My watch has 2:17 right now, so let's say 2:16. So we jump back to 2:15, tie 'em up proper this time without their belts, give George back to Mama, and we good, right?" "I reckon that would work." Earl handed George to Clyde, flipped the touchscreen display up to enter the date, and groaned as he saw a cracked display. It was unresponsive to his touch, rendering the belt useless. "Ah, crap, mine ain't no good. How about yours?" Clyde flipped the screen, entered the date, and after Earl grabbed his hand to press the button. The generator made a sound, but nothing happened. It was then that he noticed a crack in the belt. "Dang thing's cracked. Guess it don't work if the seal's broke. Man, we're screwed. How are we going to get George back to his time?" "Before we get him back anywhere, we got to clean his backside. Take a whiff." Earl came close and then backed away in disgust. "Good Lord, child, something done crawled up in you and died. We need to get him changed sooner the better. That's a grocery store there?" Earl looked over and saw a Tesco sign and remarked, "Looks like one, but not one I ever heard of." "Yeah, things done changed since we left. How you figure?" "Came back to the same time. I reckon little Stinky there has something to do with it. We saved his life, but he never grew up when he was supposed to. Look next to the grocery." Clyde looked to the left of the Tesco store, and there was a flagpole with a Union Jack flying at the top. "Well, I'll be. That's right, bro. Our little friend wasn't there. We lost the dang war. What do we do now? These belts ain't no good. How we get him back?" "We gotta find the professor, have him fix him. First, we gotta get George cleaned up. I figured that store's gotta have diapers. Only one problem. Look in your wallet." "I got plenty of cash." "Oh, wait a sec. Don't reckon American money's any good here, seeing as this ain't America." "Yeah, we need clothes. Left our normal stuff in that smokehouse." "Well, let's see if we can get lucky." They walked to the strip mall and toward the front door of the store, Clyde holding George and trying to soothe him as best he could. George was smelling ripe and starting to voice his displeasure at his situation. Earl went into the Tesco store and came back a minute later. "Yep, regular grocery store. Got diapers and everything. Diapers cost £6. "How much is that in dollars?" "Don't matter. Ain't no such thing as dollars right now." "Oh, yeah." "Well," Earl said louder this time, "I ain't got £6 on me. You got any cash?" Earl made a show of checking his wallet and shaking his head. "Nah, I'm busted. But we need the diapers. Man, what we gonna do? Excuse me, sir, said a young woman. You might want to move away a bit. Manager here doesn't take kindly to people begging near the doors. Clyde took one look at the woman, probably about their age, medium height, blonde hair that fell a little below her shoulders. Not bad looking. Kind of gal you wouldn't mind showing off to Mama, Clyde thought to himself. We ain't really begging, said Earl. Could have fooled me. Seems like you're broke and wanting everyone to know about it. Yeah, we're broke. Lost my job. Wife ran off with my cousin. Left me George to take care of, and I'm busted. Kid needs feeding. Smells like he needs changing more than feeding. That too, but diapers run 6 pounds. I ain't got 1 pound. Lots of folk losing jobs these days. Lost my husband, my baby, and my brother in 1 year. Then lost my job last week. Don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sorry to hear that, Earl said. What happened? Husband ran off with some slag. Left me pregnant. Brother got killed in Kurdistan. Kurdistan? Yeah, bloody Kurdistan. You've been living under a rock these last 10 years? Had a nice flat in London and a good job. Henry gets stationed in Virginia. Up and moved to the colonies. Then Henry and William, that's my brother. They're off to fight for some buggers. Got to save their country from Saddam. Henry comes home and leaves me. William comes home in a box. Lost the baby a week later. Mum got a folded flag and a thank you from the PM. He did his duty for Queen and country. Well, Queen and country won't bring him back and won't put food on my table either. Well, I'm terrible sorry about your loss. I don't know what to say. Lots of women in that position, and we're fighting for what? Big pile of sand and a lot of folks that don't like us anyway? Our boys coming home in boxes and those fellows in Parliament don't care one bit for our plight. Well, ma'am, I don't much know what to say. I ain't much worth words. But I feel mighty awful what's happened to you. Can I pray for you? Yes, I'd like that very much, she said as she wiped a tear from her eye. As Earl was finishing his brief prayer, the manager of the store came out and said, Come on, folks. What have I said about the front of the store? The customers are uncomfortable. You need to keep away from the doors. Hey, buddy, don't be an ass. Cut us some slack, Clyde said. This is my store, and having people begging at the doors is bad for business. Good Lord, what is that awful smell? As if on cue, George let out a cry, and Clyde held him up for the manager to see. Well, why don't you change the kid already? Ain't got any diapers and ain't got the 6 pounds you're selling them for. Ah, bloody owl, the manager said as he went back inside the store. That fellow's got issues, Earl said. Not the nicest guy around, the woman said. By the way, I didn't get your names. Earl, ma'am, and this here's my friend Clyde. My name's Jenny. So, Earl and Clyde, why don't you join me? Just going in to spend my last paycheck. Maybe we can get some things for little George. Oh, ma'am, that would be mighty kind of you, but your last paycheck? Yes, but you can't talk me out of it. I'm doing it for the wee one there. They went into the store, purchased some diapers and wipes, and Earl and Clyde headed for the restroom to take care of George. Clyde set the baby on the changing table that folded down from the wall. Clyde, you ever change a baby? Nah, you? Nope. How hard can it be? Just then the door opened and a man walked in, took one sniff and said, Never mind, I think I can wait, before walking out the door faster than he came in. Earl unwrapped the blanket from George and worked at unwinding the cloth diaper that he was wearing. When he pulled the diaper away, the odor hit him full force, causing Clyde to gag and Earl to step back. The things I'd do for my country, he muttered. He came back armed with a handful of wipes to clean up the mess, and just as he bent over, George's little member stood at attention and let loose a strong stream that hit Earl full in the face. Earl jumped back again as George emptied the rest of his bladder in front of him, smiling in relief as he did so. Clyde, with no help, doubled over in laughter 2 feet away. Clyde finally controlled himself enough to say, Man, I seen you pissed off before, but never pissed on, before losing himself in another fit of laughter. While Earl washed himself off at the sink as well as he could, Clyde took a handful of wipes, held his breath, and started to clean George. They took it in turns and eventually had the baby all clean with a fresh diaper. Lord, I ain't never calling women a weaker sex again, Earl said as they walked out of the store. Maybe it gets easier with practice. I hope so. Well, we're going to need more money. Wonder how we're going to manage that. Don't know, buddy. We'll have to figure something out. We've figured one thing out so far. This ain't America. This is what the prof said would happen without Mr. Washington here. Another thing I'm wondering. That manager, he look familiar to you? Not sure. He was a guide at the park before we jumped back. Well, don't that beat all? What you getting at? The world's different, but not the people in it. The prof's still around somewhere. Dude from the bait shop, even us. You think there's another you and me? Nah, but our homes. We find our homes, maybe we got IDs and money there. Not sure I follow. Not sure I follow myself. Time travel stuff makes my head hurt. Watched a TV show once. This dude time traveled back, changed something in his past, and came back to the present, and there were people he didn't know, but they knew him and told him stuff he done with them. Suppose we find out where home is, and there's people there who know us and all the stuff we done over the years. Like we have a home here and never lived in America. If that's true, you think we'll forget America after a while? I hope not. We need to get this fellow back so things will be fixed. Earl took out his wallet and opened it, relieved to still see American currency in there, along with the American flag he had put there as a reminder. Well, we still got these. We're going to look at it every day. Remember what we're fighting for. Are we fighting? Those powers jerks don't know we're here. They have to be happy. They got the world they wanted. They got to be wondering how it happened. They know they didn't kill George. You guys are still here? Jenny asked as she came out of the store with a cart full of groceries. Yeah, we're still here. Got George all cleaned up and smelling pretty, Earl said. Oh, he's a real cutie. Now that I can get close enough to see that. He's quite the handsome little gentleman. You guys don't have a place to stay, do you? Yeah, I thought so. Get in. You can come to my place for now. Earl, don't know how to tell you, but look over there, Clyde said. Earl looked across the parking lot and saw Richard and Alan Powers coming out of a fast food restaurant. He gave Clyde a look, and the two of them jumped in the car quickly, hoping not to be seen. That hope was in vain as Alan saw them out of the corner of his eye. One look at what they were carrying confirmed his suspicions, and he tugged at his brother's arm. Richard looked where he was pointing and saw Earl and Clyde getting in a car with a baby in their arms. Well, that explains it, Richard said. Explains what? Why we're seeing all the Brit flags around, dummy. They must have jumped back here with George. Before we escaped, I saw his mom hand him to one of them. They must have jumped with him. He never grew up there. The revolution was lost. That has to be it. We succeeded without even killing him. What if they take him back? I bet their belts are broken. They would have already done that if they could. They probably tripped and fell, hit the button, and broke the belts when they landed. Yes, that makes sense. What do we do now? Do we need to do anything? That old professor's alive somewhere. They'll try to find him and fix those belts. We have two choices. We can chase them down and finish the job, but they're armed and we aren't. Or we can go back farther and take out his parents before he's born. I vote for that option. We can find weapons there, or just torch the house like you wanted. Okay, let's go then. They got into the parking lot, turned on the belts, and just as they were going to enter the dates, the display flickered and went dead. Batteries, said Richard. The extra batteries were in the backpacks. Only so many jumps in a battery, I guess. Well, so much for that option. So we track them down, take out the kid, and that's that? I think we need to take them out too. If they find the professor, they'll end up jumping back again and fixing things. You think they can do that if the baby's dead? Hell, I don't understand this time travel stuff. There are too many unknowns. We need to take them all out. End of story. First, we're going to need money and weapons. We're going to need to see what the lay of the land is. We don't know anything about this world. There's a library over there. Should be a good place to catch up. What about them? Their belts are broken. We'll take care of them in good time. Well, I hope you enjoyed Chapter 7. If so, please like and subscribe. For information about my other work, check out the links in the description below. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.